Hi, I'm Sarah Mueller, a reporter with Forbes, and I'm here with Tina, who is the co-founder of Moms for Liberty. We're at the Iowa State Fair outside of the Fairside Chats that Governor Kim Reynolds is hosting. What are you hearing so far today? What's interesting you, and how are you here to support?
The best thing we heard this morning so far was from Vice President Mike Pence when he said parents do not co-parent with the government. That's our tagline at Moms for Liberty. It's our mission, it's what we stand for, so we were excited to hear him address those issues.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your guys' role during the campaign season, because from what I get, you guys don't necessarily support one candidate right away. How do you guys support the GOP during this time?
Well, we don't support the GOP. We are a mission-based organization. Our goal is to make sure that parental rights is the #1 domestic issue for the 2024 election right now. We want people talking about education failure in America and how we can improve education, but we also want them talking about the threat that parents feel that their rights are under attack to raise their children how they see fit. And so our goal right now is to make sure every candidate on the campaign trail, Democrat or Republican, is speaking about those issues.
All right, well, we have had at least one candidate you mentioned bring up, parenting concerns. We're going to have a lot of others. Are there any others that are specifically speaking out about this issue that you're interested in?
Yeah, all of them. We had our national summit just a couple months ago in Philadelphia. We had 5 presidential candidates there, and all of them spoke to parental rights and education. We're about to hear from Francis Suarez in about 10 minutes here on the stage. We haven't spoken to him previously, so I'll be curious if he brings up the issue also.
Absolutely. Now, there are a lot of Iowans here. There's a lot of voters here. Is your group doing any outreach or anything specifically to talk about this issue with these voters and bring it up to the forefront of their minds?
Yeah, last year they had a booth. This year they felt like it would be better as chapter leaders to just be around with the people talking. They're here in their shirts, they're spreading information, handing out cards, trying to recruit for their chapters here in Iowa. We have 6 counties right now, 6 chapters in Iowa.
And I'm here at the Iowa State Fair with Bob, who's from West Des Moines. Now, you've called yourself a political guru. Your wife called you a political guru. So I need to know, what are some of your initial thoughts about the campaign season so far in Iowa?
Well, I think we're having some really excellent debate. We have the candidates coming in, meeting Iowans. I think it's important that for Republicans, they focus on candidates who are talking about the future. And a lot of them, our vice president's here talking right now, talking about the future. Governor Burgum was here earlier this morning talking about the future. I think it's been great. I think it's a great season. I think Iowans are taking this really seriously, and I actually think this race is more open than what the national folks and pundits are.
It's a deep bench right now for the GOP, and so the Iowa State Fair, for those who don't know, is a lot of face time with voters. What do you think the #1 thing that candidates need to do when they are here talking with voters?
Well, I think be really open, be honest, and I really believe it's about talking about the future. How do we make sure the country can continue to move forward, strengthen our economy, make sure we become a stronger nation, make sure our national security is protected, and it's really about having those candidates talk about the future, and I think it's a real mistake if we just keep focusing on the past.
I mean, can I ask, is this in reference to Donald Trump? I mean, I've listened to his stump speech a couple times now. It's in a lot of references to his previous time in office, and obviously he didn't get the 2020 win. So what do you think he needs to do in order to get Iowa voters?
Well, my background is as a Republican, and I know a lot of Democrats too, and they're jumping for joy with the idea that Donald Trump may be the nominee. And so for many of us Republicans, we're quite concerned about that. So as far as I see that President Trump kind of has the voters he's going to have. I think he'll continue to lose some of those. The question is, will he lose enough, and will other candidates or a candidate gain enough votes by January so that perhaps a different candidate than Donald Trump wins the caucus?
What do you think the GOP needs to do in order to get those more moderate voters for the next election?
Well, I think it's about focusing on the future. If we focus on the past, the Republicans are going to get wiped out again for the 4th election in a row. I think that would be unfortunate.
And what do you think the biggest issue is that Iowans care about right now in the 2024 election?
I really think it's making sure that in the future we have a strong economy with low inflation.
Now, I got to ask as our final question, obviously Trump's indictments are all over headlines. How do you think that's going to resonate with Iowa voters? How do you think that's going to impact his campaign?
Well, in the short term, it's rallying the Republican base around Donald Trump. But I think as the months go by, it's going to become a distraction. And I think as a result, I think it's going to bring his numbers down and make it open up the opportunity for another candidate to break through and potentially win the Iowa caucuses and then the nomination.
So I'm here with Max from Cedar Rapids. We've been listening to some of these fair side chats from Kim Reynolds. What has stuck out to you so far?
Oh, their backgrounds, the type of background that I see from small towns, grew up around people who were honest and did things the right way, and they would carry that into their political career.
Is there anybody who's sticking out to you right now who you're really interested in?
Oh, yes, well, I'm a Trump fan, and of course I don't need to go from there. All the problems are going up, and I think it's all fake, but that's just my opinion. But as of this minute, and I may change later on because I'm kind of I don't belong to any political party. As of this minute, but some of these people here, I'm going to try to see most of them that are speaking here to see if I agree with them, because I like to see them personally. Then you get a little better perspective, in my opinion.
Now, I'm curious, you're a Trump fan. There's obviously been a lot of headlines around him, indictments and whatnot. Does that not impact how you're going to possibly vote for him?
Not so, because all of the previous politicians have done the same thing, which in my mind weren't. It's like driving 36 miles an hour in a 35-mile zone and get a ticket. So I just ignore all that.
Obviously, his former running mate is also running, Mike Pence. He just took the stage. Any thoughts on what he had to say?
Yes, I like his background, the way he was raised up as a Christian and so on, and those types of people I would put ahead of most others.
What would be your biggest piece of advice as an Iowan to the candidates who are coming to the Iowa State Fair this weekend? What's your advice to them as they're interacting with Iowans?
Well, to have a good money system in the country. We were so far in debt and so on and so forth. What's their answer on straightening all this up? It's very hard to do. Most of them don't want to talk about it because it's very difficult to figure it out, how to have a good financial system and to keep inflation low.
And I'm here with Mark, who's originally from Des Moines but now lives in Springfield. We're standing outside the Fair Side Chats being hosted by Republican Governor Kim Reynolds, and she's got Republican Governor Doug Burgum on stage with her. This is all supposed to be leading up to the Republican caucus, but you're standing here with a sign that says "Keep abortion kosher," and you've got "Make abortion kosher," and you've got again, and we've got a bunch of Democrat Biden-Harris buttons on you. What brought you out today?
We need to change the narrative behind the way we politic against each other. And I'm Jewish, and I decided to tap the deepest roots of my heritage, and I discovered something very interesting, that locked inside the Torah, there are interesting clues as to how to fix the divisiveness in politics, and I wrote a book about it. And these buttons, for example, the donkey driver in the Zohar, which is a Talmud of Talmud from the Torah. There's a beautiful story about a donkey driver leading people to final correction. The donkey driver is God. So for the past number of years, I've been meshing Kabbalistic Jewish symbols with the candidates. So people will think donkey driver must be Democrat in the Democratic Party, but if you're Jewish at all, if you read Hebrew at all, you'll understand that we're taking the high road like no one else has ever taken the high road.
Well, you're standing outside of this very Republican event. You've got Biden-Harris on you. What are you hoping to get out of coming here, especially with your kosher sign?
Attract attention.
Specifically around what? What are you hoping to attract attention around?
Well, I'm giving away these buttons, and I've had people at the Des Moines Register stage, one right after another, and says, please, give me anything, give me anything. There are too many Republicans out here. I need something to show my Democratic colors. I'm the only one doing this.
Now, what do you think? Obviously, you've got abortion on your sign. Do you think that's the major issue that Iowans are worried about going into the next election?
Well, I think if you're a woman, and if you're a physician, a caregiver, and you've had your rights stripped away and your permission stripped away to perform life-saving health care for women, that's a major issue. And look what happened in Ohio just 2 days ago. Uh, what I talk about is that even though the King James Bible makes reference to justifications for prohibiting abortions, the Jewish Talmud says just the opposite. And where I come out is that everyone wants to talk about the physical life of an embryo, but no one's talking about the spirit, the soul of the soon to be baby. And in my book, I claim that upon conception, God grants the mother guardianship of the baby to nurture it, to care for it, either to bring it to fruition upon birth or not, because upon birth, God implants part of His Spirit inside that embryo, and at that point, it becomes a person, which is totally opposite the way most Republicans are talking these days. So it's my way to spark the conversation to say, basically, there are a lot of people, candidates who proclaim greatness, which may or may not be true, but all kosher candidates are great by definition.
So obviously we've got a lot of GOP candidates like Donald Trump, Pence, DeSantis. I mean, who do you think Iowans are going to respond to the most? And what messages do you think are being conveyed to the Iowans that they're receiving the best?
I'll tell you where the latent potential is for the evangelicals, who have lost their God spots. Very religious, very spiritual people, but the politicians have manipulated them. And if I was a Mike Pence or a Tim Scott, who are both very deeply religious people, I would want to tell them about how we should be encouraging women, young mothers, to take the scrutinies involved with whether or not to bring the baby to birth or not, but also realizing that there's an ultimate agenda here, that woman has an opportunity to have God implant part of her into that new baby. And if after making that scrutiny, it's her choice whether to carry the baby to term or not, that's a different definition. And as I've told several of the candidates, I've met with all of them in 212 and 216 and 220. As I told the candidates, if you want to limit abortions, you have to inspire and awaken their points in the heart rather than give them the restrictions, because with restrictions, you destroy everything. Nothing works.
Well, Mark, I'll leave you to your sign and getting to talk to some more of these candidates. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.